Well, welcome everybody to the Unitarian Universalist Society of River Falls. Thanks for coming. I'm Maureen Ash, and let's see. That's our order of service. I'm guessing there are some people here who love horses, and if you do, and if you were of my age, Marguerite Henry was just so beloved. And this is from her book, The King of the Wind. Remember those great illustrations? I can't remember the artist, but oh my gosh. When Allah created the horse, he said to the wind, I will that a creature proceed from thee. Condense thyself. And the wind condensed itself, and the result was the horse. So our theme for June is flourishing together, and there are a few relationships, I think, throughout our evolution that have been so flourishing for people as our relationship with horses. So that's appropriate that today we're going to be talking about this great partner for our species. Yesterday I went to, and some of you were there also, a memorial for a neighbor and a friend. And when I saw this, I thought, it's really true. Let's see. Keith, how about if you read it?
Sorry?
Can you read it? Could you read it to us?
Life does not accommodate you, it shatters you. It is meant to, and couldn't do it better. Every seed destroys its container, or else there would be no fruition.
And at this time, oh yeah, Callan, can you lay? We're so lucky to have Callan. Thank you. At this time when it's gardening, we're planting our gardens and you see the beans come up and they've got the coating is shucked off and it will be gone and forgotten. And for a while that was the most important thing because it held it together. And now it doesn't need it anymore because it's on its own. Okay, and now we have our Greetapalooza.
Yes, Sunday and Tuesday.
That's a happy sound. And now we have our joys and concerns. And I'll start. You may hear them as the hour proceeds. Shar and Tom brought me 2 kittens, and they're in the office in a little carrier. And I haven't even touched them yet, which is necessary, or I would not be out here. But they're really cute. But they're not from me. I have a kitty, but they're from my grandsons. She knows I come.
All right, I try not to go on Facebook too much, but yesterday I was on Facebook and I saw that Allison had put the pride flag up for River Falls in front of City Hall, and people are allowed to have their opinions on that however they want, but for me, as someone who has taught LGBTQ youth who were coming out to me before they were coming out to their parents because I made them feel safe, as someone who has had a trans employee and has a trans friend that I play games with every once in a while, it's just really great, especially with today's climate, to see them being represented in our small town. So.
Well, I had just one minor joy. Now I have another one, because my son had to come out way back in the 80s. So, in a conservative state like Nevada. So that's good. But the other joy was my truck started this morning. You would have seen it out here. Otherwise, we're picking up tables and chairs for an event at our house, and it just wouldn't start. So luckily it started, so you won't see it there anymore. And we think it was Don was doing positive thinking with me, and we think it might have helped.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Juliet Tompkins, and I'm joyful about hearing this talk. I think this person must be up here. She's got a folder. Today, I'm an avid horseback rider. I just got off my horse, so I'm all hot and sweaty. And my joy is that a good friend of mine who's a fellow rider joined me today, Tammy Gregg. So please welcome her. She's sitting in the back, and glad she could join us. And here's to horses.
Well, I have a joy. We went out on our motorcycle adventure to Medora. I don't know if anybody knows where that is. We went through Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and we experienced wild horses. They came out of the hills and crossed down to the road, and we stopped and we're like, wow. You know, they're so majestic, you know, and we really enjoyed it. Thanks.
My My name is Keith Rodley. I have a joy, and it has to do with Pari Shils, Sheila's daughter. And the joy is that we had a chance to know Pari from day one, and she has been a bundle of joy for 22 years and still going. Love you, Pari. This goes in here. All right.
I have a joy. I'm Lynn, and the book club book that we read, the Serviceberry, I feel like I use those terms all the time, but wow, I use the term the gift economy and thinking about reciprocity so much, and I bring it to all these patient groups that I speak with, and to think about what is it I'm receiving and how am I giving, and just to look at the world in that way. And this is a heavy time of year for me. And it is all of this that I have received that has been such a gift, and I have a lot of joy for that. So thank you.
My name's Annette, and my 91-year-old mother moved to senior living, and it's been amazing. She now has lots of friends, and she's doing lots of activities since she moved off the homestead, and she doesn't watch so much Fox News anymore, and so it's just a total different relationship that we have now, and the happiness that's in her, and less anger, and it's just been transformative, and I'm super thankful for that.
Well, isn't it something that with all the things going on in the world that we found these things to be joyful about, we all know the things that are dragging us down. I'm going to put this in to represent the joys and concerns that we did not express. But don't let that ever stop you from bringing up your concerns. We've had plenty of those over every Sunday, usually. Okay, I'm going to read a poem. Those are my horses. I'm driving them. And this poem is called, I wrote this poem, it's called Red Horses. The river has always loved horses, but none so much as these she has seen working the farm around which she loops and dawdles, one hand idly brushing the bank, watching the red horses blacken with sweat, the huff of their breaths loud across the field as they bend their necks to pull the plow, its steel share flashing behind a rising, twisting strip of sod, or the mower's sickle bar shivering the tall grass and tipping it flat, or the rake gnashing its teeth to fluff hay into windrows of dried clover and scent. She loves best the late afternoon when they are unharnessed and released into the pasture. A few steps and their knees buckle. They drop heavily to roll, wet as whales in their grassy sea. She has felt in her own tossing waters that pleasure of release and abandon, legs kicking up, back of the neck being rubbed, backbone to backbone against the provident earth. And then they rise, shaking themselves, and turning to her, come with their hooves rising and falling like bells ringing, down the path to her where she slows, would stop if she could, and they drink as she strokes their whisper-nubbed noses and curls in ripples around their finely made legs, carries with her downstream the broad smell of their curved, warm bodies, the soft brown of their tolerant eyes. Okay. Well, one of the perks of being on the program committee, and you're all welcome to join, is that you have the opportunity to suggest and to invite people that you have admired and that know that are experts in things that interest you to come and give talks at the UU. And I have admired Sheila Shils for decades, and she, not just because she's an expert in something I care about a lot, horses, but she's a good person and a kind person, and I guess we're going to learn a lot more about her as a person as she speaks. So thanks very much for doing this, Sheila.
Thanks, Maureen. That was very thoughtful of you. It really is a pleasure to be here. I'm thrilled that all of you think it's an important topic, because it is very important to me. As Maureen said, I have spent my life with horses. And basically, this life has been centered around science. I spent many hours preparing scientific presentations for my work with horses at conferences. But this is the first time anyone has ever asked me to talk about how horses have influenced my life and what I've learned from them. It's a privilege to speak about this very personal side of my education, my job, and my passion. And thank you so much for the invitation. Today, my thoughts are not intended to be compared to any other person's decisions about how they have or will interact with horses. Rather, these thoughts that I speak about are simple expressions of how I have evolved through my process of understanding the horses that I've shared my life with. What and how the horses I know and have known have taught me, and what they need and want from me to become part of their lives. If my thoughts are interesting and are helpful to you, that is wonderful. But of course, there are many, many proverbial roads to Rome. It's very interesting now how much emotion I feel. It's rather shocking to me. I have stood in front of thousands of people at conferences internationally. I have spoken about horses and their movement patterns, how we can help them. But today, I'm not sure what is in my voice. It's a little unsettling that I'm finding myself slightly out of control. I'm not sure where this hovering of my voice is coming from, but it's there. So bear with me as I struggle to regain my composure here. Again, it's very shocking how much this is affecting me. This talk has been in the make for many months, as schedules needed to coincide. And interestingly, I would find myself over these many months thinking about this topic. I knew at once what the main idea I wanted to express would be. But I would also find myself thinking a lot about many, many tangents to that general theme, which is of no surprise to the people close to me, because I do tend to overthink most things, including yesterday, spending 20 minutes deciding whether to repaint the chairs ivory beige, heritage white, antique cream, light sandstone, cool white, smoke white, or snow white, which no one else would ever notice the very slight difference in the shade of white but me. However, as I return from this self-deprecation to this complex topic of what can horses teach us, was I really overthinking? Or was it that this topic is just that deep and multifaceted? The latter, I think. I honestly feel that my journey with horses would not have been so satisfying if I had not been forced to observe, and observe some more. Horses on the ground, not just from their backs. And here is my embarrassing moment as the snot drips out of my nose. At least it didn't land on the page. And again, remember, so much of learning about horses is in two phases: observing them on the ground and feeling them on their backs. My time on the ground included watching horses at rest, tied up, eating their dinner, free in the field, and during work in hand, to name just a few. Years and years of working with the same horse, walking with them, grooming them, feeding them, cleaning their stalls, riding them, trailering them, showing them, has led to many, many hours of observation. Most of the horses I have had in my life were seriously, physically, and emotionally unstable, to the point that riding had to wait until we gained a relationship between us, eye to eye on the ground, so that riding could then be safely done. In my work, I see many horses in pain and discomfort, and observing their free movement when they don't know you're watching is very important to understanding the pain in their bodies. The most important thing that horses have taught me during my life with them is that the foundation of a strong and long and happy and safe relationship with a horse is respect. Yes, Aretha Franklin got it right. And importantly, this respect is circular. I respect the horse, and the horse respects me. From this mutual respect, all other things then come, including the deep and profound relationships where you and the horse learn each other's language and can, over time, speak to each other in complete sentences, including, yes, proper spelling and grammar. But why have I decided respect is the beginning, not the middle, not the end of the relationship with horses? Well, as we all know, horses are socially herd animals, but dogs and cats are also members of groups. So what makes them different? The difference is dogs and cats are predators and horses are prey. Due to the prey's fear of harm from predators, when a prey animal such as a horse sees something unusual, something that has a different shape or color, or even a human or animal walking strangely, the horse will react with caution. And this caution is almost typically followed by the basic tagline of all prey animals: if uncertain of safety, get the heck out of there as soon as possible. Without respect and therefore awareness of you and where you are, the horse's reaction to something strange could result in the horse pushing you aside or getting you off their back as they attempt to flee. Not a safe situation. In a horse's life, you must become one of the leaders of the herd. You must be important enough that the horse always knows where you are and will protect you as a member of the herd, because they respect your importance and position in the herd. When this happens, I know that the beginnings of a mutual respect between the horses occurred, and this sets the foundation for a deep and meaningful relationship. When I am in the presence of a horse that shows little respect for the people around them, I feel disconnected with that horse. That horse doesn't understand the social interconnections of a herd and is always trying to be in control. And this horse is anxious, very anxious. Again, because horses are herd animals, where even the leaders work together with the other members of a herd, a horse who has been given the position of top dog by the humans around them doesn't possess that skill set to really be in charge. Horses are not born with this skill set. This skill set is not normal for a horse to be in control, alone. Therefore, that horse is unhappy. Unfortunately, by not teaching the horse that respect is the foundation of a positive relationship with humans, the horse is not ever truly happy, even around other horses. This disconnect and lack of respect for those around this type of horse becomes very clear very soon after first meeting that horse. These horses dart their gaze, are overreactive to sound and touch, step into your space, move quickly in multiple directions, hit you with their tail, push against you, attempt to bite or lift their hind legs as you pass by. In addition, these horses can be very sullen and will not move away from pressure. For horses, the use of food as a treat can unfortunately be a quick way to improve the disrespect of the horse for the people around them. The anticipation of food is typically such a strong attention getter that the food can distract the horse from other cues within their environment. The horse becomes excited and forgets to be respectful and is then rewarded for that disrespect by getting a treat. Many times when I am just getting a horse to have the confidence to interact with me, the arrival of food erases that progress I have made and may even make the horse regress so much that I must start again on another day. I tell the horses that my presence is their treat. I carry nothing in my pockets for them. It's just me. But it's also my responsibility to be respectful to the horse. My respect for the horse begins as I approach the horse. Horses are very aware of body language. And it is a powerful and loud voice to the horse, this body language. I try to make eye contact and almost always verbally speak to the horse as I approach. I typically will not touch a horse at first and will simply stand and see what the horse's reaction is to me. This only takes a very few seconds. In a sense, this is like us going up to someone's house and knocking on the door and waiting for them to open the door and ask you to enter. I am asking the horse for permission to approach into their personal space. And at the same time, I'm respecting the horse's space. In addition, I am learning immediately if the horse respects my space and if they are secure enough to invite me through the door. Then I will touch the horse and place the halter on. As the halter goes on, I can tell a lot about the comfort and sense of security of the horse by the way the horse reacts to my touch and my movements. Saying something positive and, yes, flattering to the horse is also of great importance at this time of your first meeting. It is almost unnerving how much a horse reacts to a compliment. Some roll their eyes at you, and some bat their eyes and look directly at you and thank you. But horses almost always react in some way to a kind word. Although, of course, not all horses do. Some ignore the fact that you're even there, or even worse, literally turn their tail to you and try to move you out of your space. But this is all good information about how they respect you and how you should respond to that particular horse. First impressions by the horse of you and of you by a horse are both very powerful and informative. It is not always easy to clearly and consistently explain to the horse that you need their respect, but once the stage is set, respect ages well over time. As time moves on, you will not need to consciously work on respect between you and your horse. The horse will fall just naturally into that rhythm. The second most important thing I've learned from horses is that I must allow the horses to maintain their dignity. They must remain a horse. I have learned that a horse needs to share with us their thoughts in the way that suits their minds, not ours. We have to put our questions to horses in a way that makes sense to the horse, not put our thought process on the horse. Horses are not humans, and that is a wonderful thing. That is what makes the relationship so special. We must respect the way a horse thinks and ask questions in a way that the horse can understand. If you allow the horse to have the dignity to be who they are, you will be rewarded, because you will then learn to listen to the horse and allow the horse to give you their answer to your question, not your answer to your question. For example, you cannot ask a horse in general if they're feeling okay. A horse does not understand the world in that way, nor can you ask a horse if their foot hurts. You must specifically ask a horse if the heel of their right foot hurts. Unfortunately, Black Beauty and National Velvet are probably not doing much to help people learn how to have a deep and lasting relationship with horses. If you give a horse a lump of sugar and kiss it on the nose, that will not necessarily be what it takes to have that horse win the Grand National. Romanticizing horses to the point that we think horses think like us and act like us pulls us away from the horse, the dignity to be just a horse. And this is what they deserve, as well as what they need the most. However, to counter that train of thought, I also have to say it can be haunting how much horses can read into our minds. As in most things, nothing is clear-cut and everything must be balanced, and I will share with you one of my stories about a deep and powerful bond that I have had with a horse. As a horse-crazy kid, I bought a curry comb and a brush from a tack store and pretend groomed my dad's sawhorse in the garage. Well, at least it had 4 legs. The closest I could come at that point to a horse was this imaginary being. I imagined the day when my greatest dream would come true and I would have a real horse to use my brushes on. When I got my first horse, I was 14. He was a 2-year-old gelding, half Morgan, half Arabian, with a flaxen mane and tail and 4 white stockings. I named him Strider, after the king from the Lord of the Rings, who said, all that is gold does not glitter. This checked all the boxes for a 14-year-old horse-crazy girl. I then proceeded to get Dr. Bennett's blue booklet in the mail on how to train horses to ride, and followed the booklet page by page. One day, a few months later, I got on a hay bale and hopped up on my horse, bareback, with only a halter, 2 lead ropes, 1 hook to each side of the halter. And I rode off down the dirt road. Why this horse didn't run off, buck me off, or simply refuse to go, I have no idea. Most importantly, I was simply just lucky. But this was a special horse. However, as I remember our time together, I spent all day with him, almost every day. I couldn't wait to get to the barn every day to see him. I also think I was no threat to him, and maybe just because of all the time I spent with him, just observing basically everything he did, from twitching his ears to moving his mouth as he ate. I watched everything and was by his side in the stall, in the pasture. I wouldn't let him out of my sight. We went on to do pole bending, Western pleasure, trail classes, jumping, and dressage. I took him to college with me. This mere pony of 14.2, bred who knows where, trained by who knows who, just me. He won the regional eventing championship against the fancy East Coast horses. Go, Strider. The depth of my understanding of horses is greater now, but this initial relationship so long ago seems unreal because of the trust I had in this horse and he had in me. I learned a lot. Thank you, Strider. But this is not the only example. These types of experiences where horses have made a deep connection with me have followed me throughout my life. Another more recent experience was with a horse that I owned who was extremely claustrophobic in certain situations. My daughter had been riding this horse and was hand walking him out of the barn. She stopped to open the door. He put his head down and promptly got the rein caught between his legs, holding his head low to the ground. She was pinned against the closed door, which made this a potentially dangerous situation, especially with this horse. I walked over slowly, and the horse looked me straight in the eye and told me it was okay. He would just wait for me to free him. I undid the buckle of the reins, freed his leg, gave her back the reins, and then we both walked to the barn. I thanked him in the barn over and over while we took off his tack and groomed him. And he told me he would not have ever harmed her. But he then laughed and said, if it had been me, he might not have been so forgiving. Perhaps you were surprised that the word love did not get into my list of what I have learned from horses, but love really is there. It is simply the natural outcome of respect and dignity. Well, at least that's what I think. Thank you so much for taking your time today to listen to me. This has continued to be a very interesting process. I am, again, quite shocked at my reactions, but that's okay too. Our family has also continued to think about horses internationally, and Maureen asked me to also talk about an initiative that we've started called the Tibetan Pony Initiative in Nepal. There's some information on the back table. And when we went up into the Tibetan Plateau many years ago, the ponies that were there, who were service animals, who were the trucks and trailers and cars of Nepal, were in a severely depressed state. We tried to do what we could to offer assistance, and the people in the region said, the problem is the horses no longer have a job because they're using the road that they're building for transport. And so the horses earn no money, and therefore there's no money to take care of them. So we started this initiative to see if we could bring health care and provide that to the ponies of Tibet and Nepal. And it has been successful on our little tiny budget. We are vaccinating and deworming over 400 ponies twice a year, and we are making a difference. This is an ancient breed, isolated in a region of Tibet that has not seen other horses infiltrated for thousands of years. So if it's something that affects your heart and your thoughts, let me know, because you'll be reassured that every single penny you give goes to those ponies. So once again, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a fascinating journey for me to be here today.
Okay, these are the announcements. The poetry group meets after this next week. The building will be open. You can come here and have a chit chat. We aren't going to have, that's why we ran long today. We're making up for. And then Kate and Allison have something worked up for the 21st, Father's Day. And then again, it's every other Sunday, we just enjoy each other. Just come here and enjoy each other, or don't. Well, try to enjoy each other, but if you don't, you know what I mean. Okay. So there's a basket back there in case anyone wants to make a contribution, but your presence is a contribution that we truly appreciate. And now we're going to do our closing words.
Can we go behind the table?
Go out into the world in peace.
Have courage, question all things, hold on to what is good, return no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings.
That was great. I had a horse growing up. That was my very first